Well, good morning everyone. Brand new day. It's been raining for a little while. Now it's kind of reduced to about a drizzle. But yeah, we're expecting more rain this week and cool temperatures. Right now it's about 4 degrees Celsius. Not ideal for just about summer. It's been a weird spring, cold and warm, and now they're predicting snow in the Banff area. But that's what you get when you live in the foothills and the mountains. There's the possibility of snow at any time of the year. Anyway, it's going to be a great day. Picked up a little project yesterday to make some MBF 5-piece shaker doors for a small renovation. So usually I order these doors, but because I am a little short on work right at the moment, we're going to build them in the shop. So I thought I'd take you along, and we'll spend some time in the shop and show you how we do things in there. At any rate, it's going to be a great day. I'm glad you could come, glad you could visit, and let's go build some doors. Okay, well, the project includes replacing a whole bunch of doors, and what we're replacing are these MDF with thermofoil on them, and they've yellowed over time, partially because it came from a smoker's home, and age does that to thermofoil. So got my cut list all made up, measurements from yesterday. Let's get onto the saw and get some cutting done. Okay, so I've cut 18 pieces of 2 1/4 rail and stile stock out of the 3/4 inch sheet of MDF, and now it's time to run the groove and for the center panel insert. So what I do is I set the regular saw blade at whatever depth we want. In this instance it's 1/2 inch, and then I work my way back from center of the 19 millimeter 3/4 inch MDF and move the fence out until I get a nice snug fit on the panel, which ensures that the panel is centered on the 3/4 inch MDF. Okay, well, we've got all the long lengths run with a groove, and now we're going to cut the stiles to length, and that'll be the end of the processing for that, at least with the table saw, other than sanding. And then we'll proceed to cutting the rails, which will be 1 inch longer than the inside dimension, or 3.5
inches less than the overall width of the door, which accounts for the tongues. So when I'm cutting multiple pieces, I have a stop system set up on the chop saw. So the first 14 pieces I cut at 29 and 15/16, and I needed 14 of them, so it's easier to set the stop, cut it once correctly, and then the rest should be the same size. And did the same for the next set, and I usually cut from longest in length to shortest in length on the cut list. That way, if there's pieces left over that might fit the smaller pieces, I have that available. So we've got some of it cut already. We'll continue carrying on with cutting the rest. Okay, so all the rails and stiles are cut to length. So other than sanding, the stiles don't need any more machining because they're cut to the right length. But the rails need the tongues cut on each end. So we're going to set up the table saw to do that. I just double confirmed that my chop saw was cutting square, and it is. And it's imperative that if you have not checked your machinery, that it's probably a good idea to keep an eye on squareness, as things can go out of square if you hit it or bump it. And most machines are pretty rugged, but sometimes, you know, it's rather frustrating if all of a sudden you're halfway through a project and find out that something's not cutting square and you got to start all over. Anyway, all the parts are cut. On to the next step. Okay, we're going to start cutting the tongues, or the tenon, onto the rails. And one of the reasons I like to have the panel dead center is I only have to set the depth for the stacked dado head once. So technically, if I set up to cut 1/2 inch on one side, all I have to do is flip the board over and it'll cut the same exact amount off of the other side, which should leave me with a tenon that fits nicely into the 1/2 inch groove that we cut on the long stock. So I'm going to set up the stacked dado head and make some test cuts, and we'll start cutting. So the tenon is cut. It's a pretty quick process. Doesn't take long to set up. So the tenon is just a hair under 1/2 inch, which gives a little bit of room for glue and for it to sit tight against its mated pair. So we're going to cut the rest of the rails. Okay, we got all the rails and stiles cut. Got the tenons cut. We got the panel inserts cut. And we've done one test fit, which seems to be okay. So on the inside groove, to hold the insert panel in, we use styrofoam balls. And they kind of give it a bit of a cushion, so if the panel expands or contracts, and it just allows a little bit of play. So tomorrow we're going to sand the inside edge because it's a whole lot easier now than after it's all together. Didn't get as far as I wanted today, but the grandchildren came over today, which is always a good time, so I had to take a bit of a break for that. So tomorrow we'll start assembling, and then after that we'll start doing finishing touches and putting primer and finish coat on it.